Welcome to the APS 2022 AV Autumn National Showcase. Many thanks to our three judges, Alia Norton, Margaret Fagg and Christopher Dodobi. Also thanks to Stella Fava from the APS office for all of her help as well. So let's take a look at the acceptances. The Canning Stock Route by Pam Rickson. Christmas Island Crabs by Elizabeth Riley. The Project by Anne Dakin. The Circus of Puffins by Pam Rickson. The Isle of Skye by Pam Rickson. Of Frogs and Judges by Jim Fitzpatrick. The Mosquito by David Shetliff. Now let's move on to the awards. The Herbert Medallion for Top Novice goes to Michael Bucknell for his AV You Want It Darker.
If you are the dealer, I'm out of the game. If you are the healer, means I'm broken and lame. If thine is the glory, then mine must be the shame. You want it darker, we kill the flame. Magnified, sanctified be thy holy name. Vilified, crucified in the human frame. A million candles burning for the help that never came. You want it darker. Hey, nay, 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 nay. I'm ready, my lord. There's a lover in the story, but the story's still the same. There's a lullaby for suffering and a paradox to blame. But it's written in the scriptures and it's not some idle claim. You want it darker, we kill the flame. They're lining up the prisoners and the guards are taking aim. I struggled with some demons, they were middle class and tame. I didn't know I had permission to murder and to maim. You want it darker. Hey, nay, 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 nay. I'm ready, my lord. Magnified, sanctified be thy holy name. Vilified, crucified in the human frame. A million candles burning for the love that never came. You want it darker, we kill the flame. If you are the dealer, let me out of the game. If you are the healer, I'm broken and lame. If thine is the glory, mine must be the shame. You want it darker. Hey, nay, 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 nay. Hey, nay, 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 nay. I'm ready, my lord.
Congratulations, Michael. The Herbert Medallion for Best Soundtrack goes to Dale Murphy for his AV Old Dunedin. Congratulations, Dale. Pam Rickson has received a Merit Award for her AV Escape to the Bush. Congratulations, Pam. Sally Hinton wins a Merit Award for her AV Humpback Highway.
Each winter, humpback whales undergo a 10,000 kilometre migration up Australia's eastern coastline, which becomes the Humpback Highway. They migrate north from their nutrient-rich feeding grounds in Antarctica to the warm water of the Great Barrier Reef to give birth, mate and socialise. This northern current is about 100 kilometres wide and passes my home along the Tweed coast. The size of a bus, these huge marine mammals are inspirational as they swim effortlessly through the water. They are expressive, dynamic, and epic navigators of the sea. Pure elegance underwater. A calf weighs about a tonne at birth, but is tiny and vulnerable compared to its 40-tonne parent. When born, it has very little blubber, so would not survive in the icy waters of the Antarctic, hence the need to be born in warmer climes. It will suckle up to 600 litres of milk a day until weaned. This milk is high fat and protein, which allows the calf to grow rapidly and to develop sufficient blubber to survive the migration back to the cold waters of the Southern Ocean. The mother and calf usually have an escort, a large male to protect them for the rest of their journey. Hence, you will often see pods of 3, 2 large adults and a baby or juvenile. Humpbacks breathe through 2 blowholes on the top of their head. As they rise to the surface, they blow water 3 to 5 metres into the air. It is a beautiful sound and indicates that a humpback is near. Spy hopping is when they poke their heads above the water, just to have a peek. Who is watching who, I wonder? Their tail is called a fluke. It is the powerhouse of the whale and can be up to 5.5 metres wide. The underside of the fluke is used to identify individuals. This is their fingerprint. Tail slapping or lobtailing is when they use the peduncle muscle to slap their flukes powerfully onto the water. No one really knows why they do this, but the sound can carry for kilometres. The iconic breach. Powered by 2 to 3 thumps of the tail, these massive creatures can launch themselves out of the water again and again. It is not known if it is for fun and exuberance or if it serves another social purpose. The resulting belly flops can be heard for many kilometres. Humpbacks have huge wing-like flippers called pectoral fins, which give them excellent control and manoeuvrability, and enable them to do underwater loops and turns. With their pectoral fins outstretched, they appear to glide through the water with elegance and grace. It is not known why they slap them onto the water. Is it for attracting attention or simple relaxation? The humpback whale is a sacred totem from the dream time of the Aboriginal traditional custodians of this land, and embodies the essence of nature's life force and fertility, in particular the fertility of the waters. The whale is a traveller, moving along the east coast of Australia each year on its annual migration. Its prominence in local traditional life from the Dreamtime is reflected in rock art, songs and dreaming. It is a good omen to them that everything in the world is as it should be. All elements of Mother Earth is continuing, and there is balance in the life cycles of all living things. It is sad to think that these beautiful creatures were almost hunted to extinction. In 1963, the humpbacks along the Australian east coast had been reduced to about 100. Now, with protection, the recovery of this humpback population has increased to between 30 and 40,000, and increasing every year. They have made their way back from the brink of extinction to become a global conservation success story. So the lesson is obvious: wildlife and nature can bounce back if it is just given a chance. And hopefully, future generations can continue to enjoy the antics of these exuberant giants of the sea as they navigate along their humpback highway.
Congratulations, Sally. John Hodgson wins both a Merit Award and the Herbert Medallion for Best Photography for his AV In the Wild. Congratulations, John. John Hodgson also wins a Merit Award for his AV Seeing is Believing.
Like so many others, I'm finding that the onset of the COVID pandemic has resulted in my spending way too much time locked up at home. But let me tell you, it wasn't always that way. My boss fell for me at first sight, and it wasn't long before I moved into his place, albeit I had to live in a spare bedroom. We went out a lot, invariably to places I'd never been before, and I was delighted to take on board my boss's rather different view of the world. Early in our relationship, we spent a lot of time at the beach, and the boss's primary interest seemed to be looking at pretty girls. Him being a bloke, there's nothing unusual about that, but he spent a lot of time getting them to pose for him, poses I was expected to record. When our first summer came to an end, and with it, the number of pretty girls on the beach, we did some trips into the outback, and once again I was taken in by the variety of the landscapes my boss asked me to look at. He had a bit of a thing about clouds, usually combined with early or late light, and I find myself hoping that we'll go back to some of those places when COVID subsides, if it ever does. Not content with travel in Australia, my boss took me along on a lot of overseas trips, and again, I got to record a lot of iconic places. Many of them are still fixed in my memory. Some of those places were famous towns where we spent days wandering and wondering about them, something I enjoyed hugely. Outside these towns, there was still much to enjoy, not least the chance to take in a range of natural environments in Africa, New Zealand and Canada. We also spent quite a bit of time in the wilds of Africa, observing wild animals in their natural setting. There were times when I enjoyed being close, but others where I was grateful not to be too close. Whether we'll ever get back to any of these places will largely depend on the lifting of travel restrictions brought on by COVID. However, if we never get to those places again, my boss can at least draw on the images I recorded for him. With COVID having prevented even interstate travel for a long time, my boss has had to immerse himself in his hometown, Adelaide. And I have to say, there is much to admire about this place. Even without the girls, many of the beaches are attractive in their own right, especially at sunset. And the diversity of architecture in the city has been endlessly fascinating for me. During a couple of COVID lockdowns, when we weren't even allowed to step outside the front gate, my boss got interested in a range of household items which, when viewed close up, certainly had a degree of appeal for me. Once again, I have many happy memories of the objects I was asked to record, particularly the way my boss was able to arrange them. Another source of interest during the lockdowns was a range of invertebrates my boss found in the garden. I got up very close indeed to some of them, and I'll have enduring memories of their unusual looks. That said, I'm glad none of them climbed aboard as I was recording them. I live in hope that COVID restrictions will disappear and that the boss and I will once again be able to enjoy the fresh perspectives that travel can provide. In the meantime, I'll be spending more and more time in the spare bedroom, hunkered down in the dark and hoping for the best.
Congratulations, John. Dale Murphy wins a Merit Award for his AV Preserve the Reef.
The Great Barrier Reef is a 2,300 kilometre chain of coral reefs along the Queensland coast. Flying gives you some idea of the scale and grandeur of the reef. The reef is an incredible feat of nature. Boats take about 90 minutes to get to the closest parts of the reef. You can stay and dive for days from a boat that moves from reef to reef. Diving starts at sunrise. A tiny creature called a coral polyp creates a limestone exoskeleton and clones itself thousands of times, building a large coral limestone structure. A coral reef is the product of untold thousands of these corals, stacked over thousands of years, tens of meters high. Only the outer edges of the reef that receive sunlight have living coral. The colors of a coral are due to algae that live in the tissue of the coral polyps in a symbiotic relationship. The variety of coral forms is incredible, from giant boulder coral, digitate, mushroom, wave and fan coral. Clustered together, they make beautiful coral gardens. Unfortunately, coral polyps are vulnerable to the Goldilocks principle. A rise in water temperature causes polyps to eject their algae, resulting in coral bleaching. "25% of all sea fish live around the world's reefs, the largest reef system being the Great Barrier Reef. A reef attracts schools of fish, many of which have adapted to living within the protection offered by the reef from larger predators. The clownfish, of Nemo fame, lives permanently within the protection of the stinging tentacles of the sea bay anemone. Schools of fish like these humphead wrasse present an awe-inspiring scene. Beautiful hawksbill sea turtles are on the critically endangered list. This giant clam is a metre across and could be 100 years old. Camouflage groper are big fish, about 1 metre in length. Giant gropers can be 2.5 metres long. Sea cucumbers play an important role in reef ecology, but are considered a delicacy in some parts of the world and are being poached to potential extinction. The reef plays a critical role in Australia's marine life and impacts us all. Global warming, agriculture runoffs, microplastics and general ecological care are all things we can actively work on to preserve this precious reef.
Congratulations, Dale. Now moving on to the final stage of the presentation, we present the 3 medal winners. In third place, for the bronze medal, is Elizabeth Riley for her AV Getting the Shot or Not. Elizabeth also wins the Herbert Medallion for Best Original Script.
All keen photographers like to amaze their friends with their astonishing photographs. What those friends don't see is just what it takes to get the shot. It can be hard to find elbow room amongst a crowd of others who unfortunately also did their homework about the weather forecast. Sometimes you have to get low and crawl for any chance at a shot. Tour etiquette means never rocking the boat. Even if there is space to spread out, there is always someone who plonks their tripod in front of you. But just occasionally, your fellow photographers fall into place with perfect symmetry. Photographers are no strangers to undignified positions. Although, with a bit of ingenuity, one can at least keep one's clothes clean. Articulated screens have now made the stomach slither position redundant. But the squat is not necessarily easier to execute. You have to embrace the challenges. Freak waves, chunks of coral battering your legs, finding the perfect angle, always where someone else is standing, and keeping other photographers out of shot. Sometimes photography is a Mexican standoff. Who drew first? Often your subject is as interested in you as you are in it. Perhaps a little too interested for good photography. And that doesn't just go for wildlife. But it's always good to have an appreciative audience, even before you get back home. never look away or review your images, you may miss what is right before your eyes. And never forget that there may be an even better subject behind you. But sometimes you are so immersed in the wonder of your surroundings, you don't even raise your camera.
Congratulations, Elizabeth. In second place for the silver medal is Anne Pappalardo for her AV, The King of Kings Beach.
Kings Beach on Queensland's Sunshine Coast is an amazing destination for a holiday. It is from this space that I have been photographing my favourite bird of prey, the eastern osprey, for the past 4 years. Come with me on this journey to marvel at the birds in this small colony which live and patrol the oceans in this region. The images you will see are of different ospreys, on different days, in different weather conditions, but all in the Kings Beach area of the Sunshine Coast. Come with me on this photographic journey to take a peek into the lives of these ospreys and to understand why I think of these birds as the kings of Kings Beach. The osprey has the most beautiful and distinctive flight profile in that its wings, when in full span, are bowed or arched. Whilst in flight, it is also easy to see the barring or stripes on the secondary wing feathers which help to identify the species, along with the necklace of brown feathers around their throats. The aerial performance of the osprey often features two birds. Together they will soar and hover side by side or follow one another as they patrol the ocean. When flying with prey, the osprey lines up its catch head first for minimal wind resistance, a very special sight to see. The osprey is a spectacular and effective hunter. They feed almost exclusively on fish, which they bring back to their perch and tear apart with their powerful beaks. Twisting their heads is a typical osprey action as the bird tries to deal with the tough skin, and the fins of their catch. Peculiar to these King's Beach ospreys is the behaviour of consistently and meticulously removing and disposing of the fish's intestines, unceremoniously flicking them to the ground rather than consuming them. The life of an osprey is rich and varied. Crows chiefly are the main irritant to the osprey's peaceful existence. Many battles over the osprey's freshly caught fish are fought in the air, but crows will also try to steal fish from the osprey's open perch. This osprey is warning off a bothersome crow. Its wings are spread menacingly and its beak is open to emit a squealed warning. When they are not defending their prey, osprey will take time to rest, to preen, to bathe, and to simply watch the world sail by. And at the end of the day, these majestic birds will retire to a favourite perch. The King of King's Beach takes a moment in the last glow of the day before retiring for the night.
Congratulations, Anne. In first place for the gold medal is Adrian Weir and Dale Murphy for their AV Melbourne's Corona Story. Congratulations, Adrian and Dale. That's it. Thank you everybody for participating.